Gentlemen, welcome to week 10. It is coming down to the absolute wire here in the Gentlemen's Football Association. So let's go ahead and recap what happened last week. The Delvin Deer came into Bond County, and it was a tight one. A 5-point victory by the Coonhounds. Definitely not a great showing. Certainly had quite a few people on bye, but not an excuse for a top-tier team to almost drop one essentially there at home. We had the Middle Tennessee Riflemen, who only scored 86 points to the Cali Pigs, who only scored 127, which was a little uncharacteristic. The Clark County Crusaders continue their hot streak against the Golden Opportunities. The Beecher Creatures unable to get it done against St. Louis, who seems unbeatable at this point. The Dallas Dragons get a much-needed win, and the Tennessee Colonels fall short to the Shadow Troop. Now moving into week 10, this is where it gets spicy. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a few teams around the 4-5 mark here with a couple of losses, and I don't even know if they need all that much help, but with a couple of key losses and some big wins, we could see a little bit of a shakeup here in the 5 and 6 seed in the playoffs. I believe the Looters and the Coonhounds are only 2 wins away from clinching. That may be incorrect, but I'm almost certain that they are 2 wins away from a playoff clinch. Now let's go ahead and look at the marquee matchup of the week. I think there's one huge one and one that means a lot. So let's look at this. We have the Clark County Crusaders going up against the Huntsville Hitmen. The Huntsville Hitmen at this point have playoff aspirations. They're 4-5, but they need this win this week against a extremely hot Clark County Crusaders team. The Beecher Creatures and the Shadow Troop. The Shadow Troop are in the same scenario as the Huntsville Hitmen. At this point, absolutely have playoff aspirations. Absolutely need to get a win this week. The last one I'm looking at is going to be the Middle Tennessee Riflemen and the Golden Opportunities. On one hand, if the Golden Opportunities win out, get some help down the line, could absolutely see a miraculous playoff appearance. However, the Middle Tennessee Riflemen, there's been some uncertainty in the locker room. Josh Allen not practicing this week. Could be trouble in Middle Tennessee and could fall out potentially of the playoffs. Now let's go ahead and get into the power rankings. Coming in at number 12, we have the Delvin Deer. Certainly set up for next season, but this just isn't his year. So I think it's no surprise to anybody to see Samuel at number 12. Coming in at number 11, we have the Golden Opportunities. By past performances, this is where he should be. But I think, honestly, this could be the best, worst team we've ever seen. I think on paper, certainly you could argue that they're better than the Tennessee Colonels. Could certainly argue possibly that they're better than the Beecher Creatures. But it just hasn't panned out that way, unfortunately. Coming in at number 10, we still have the Tennessee Colonels. Another one of our tanking teams here towards the bottom of the power rankings. But I think they've got it mostly figured out there in Tennessee, and they're looking forward to brighter futures. Coming in at number 9, a very competitive team, but again, a team that's looking forward is the Beecher Creatures in Austin Rex Road there in Beecher. Coming in at number 8, this is where it gets interesting. We have the Beecher Creatures, we have the Huntsville Hitmen at number 8. But what could absolutely happen is Michael run the table and absolutely see himself in the playoffs. this is certainly a possibility when I'm looking at the schedules coming up. You look at, week 11, week 12, and you're saying to yourself, oh, if I could just have them lose one game, and then who knows, all bets are off. It could come down to points, and Michael end up taking that victory. Coming in at number 7, we have the Shadow Troop. The same scenario as Michael. The team is set up for success as long as the Vikings are good, and Kirk Cousins is ripped and is swagged out. His teammates love him. Justin Jefferson loves him. Will it continue is the biggest question. I think the Vikings are super untested as a team, and certainly are in an untesting division. And so I think we're going to learn a lot, and that could have huge implications towards the end of the season. So coming in at number 6, we have the Dallas Dragons. Now, you are what your record says you are. I do think there are some illegitimate wins here, but his team hasn't necessarily performed like an underdeserving team. Dragon has put together an absolute squad, and because he rebuilt when he did, he was able to rebuild, sell off some players, and then build back again. Found himself in an opportunity early in the season to say, hey, we can get back in this thing, and by golly, he's in a playoff spot at the moment. Coming in at number 5, we have the Middle Tennessee Riflemen. This is where I think things could fall apart. Josh Allen hurt. Jonathan Taylor is going to have a late bye week. He already hasn't performed as is. And these bye weeks are so spread out that it's almost like he's missing a key player every week. So it could get interesting in Middle Tennessee for the weeks to come. Coming in at number 4, going down one spot from last week, we have the Bond County Coonhounds. Why are they going down to number 4? They're 8-1. Well, they just have not been performing like a top 3 team. Could this team absolutely turn it around and run the table? Absolutely. But you got to run the hot hand in some scenarios, and I think the top 3 teams above them are absolutely playing better than the Bond County Coonhounds, and that's why the Clark County Crusaders are at number 3. This team has an aura about it that screams bare boobs from the year prior. This team could absolutely take off. This is a team you do not want to play down the stretch. So look for the Clark County Crusaders to do some damage. Coming in at number 2, I had a hard time not putting him at number 1. Just because of the slight underperformance last week is why I think he's still at number 2. But is the Cali Pigs at number 2, an absolute juggernaut, which leaves the 8-1 St. Louis Looters at number 1 this week. Hard not to put him there. But come playoff times, anything can happen. But Torbeck has shown why he is where he is, and it's gonna be hard to knock him off regardless. So, with that being said, I'm excited to really see how everything starts shaping up. To get a list of what each team needs to get into the playoffs, what each team needs to avoid falling out of the playoffs. Those days are coming, and it could be easy to tell after this week. I look forward to seeing you all in Week 11.